there was some interactions that I was like, I am trying not to think about this too much. Because...
lol.
John, funny. That thought went through my head several times while watching this. I'm glad that we had that moment.
Yeah.
Don't
Same
think
here.
about it. Just don't.
No.
Just stop.
No.
Just stop thinking about it, Cassie. You're just gonna get mad.
Okay.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Box, the Annie chat box, where 5 friends, or sometimes 3, snuggle up in a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. My name is Cammie, and the first thing that I would like to wish you is a Happy New Year! We are officially in 2020, and hindsight's 2020, all that good business. But I am not alone. With me are actually 2 very close friends that I had the pleasure of seeing in person multiple times in the year 2019. First off, all the way across a big ocean and just a long plane flight away, there is the one and only Jonathan Joestar.
Hello, everyone.
And not quite as far away from me, I got to see her many times, including Christmas just about a week ago, and I miss her already. There is Cassie.
Oh, you honor me. My New Year's resolution for this year is for us to not miss so many episodes of the podcast.
That's a good one. That is a good one. I can also commit to that.
Thanks
that
for
will
being
be good shit.
so patient with us, guys. We'll be more on target now. Promise.
For sure. For sure. No matter what, we love you as well. So thanks for sticking with us through all these years. And hey, if it's a new listen for you, we hope you enjoy us going forward. Today, we're going to do a double up episode of 2 reviews. Both were host choice picks by Jonathan Joestar, who picked a film called Blackfox and an old Clamp series called Angelic Layer. So, John, do you want to maybe just give some information as to why you chose these as some of your host choices?
Blackfox, I actually chose before I even watched it myself. I saw Crunchyroll ads on my Facebook wall before it aired. And then I got a bit disheartened after I found out that it was actually a movie, and therefore thought I was going to be waiting ages for it to actually be available for me to watch. And then suddenly realized, oh hey, no, it is available for me to watch. Let's all watch it.
Nice.
And that was kind of the entire motivation behind me choosing Blackfox as a host choice. As for Angelic Layer, I love me some Clamp.
Yeah.
I've seen all of Angelic Layer before and read all the manga. And felt like it's kind of just overshadowed, just like not very well, not well known, but like one of the overlooked titles by Clamp that I still really enjoy. So I thought I'd shed a bit more light on this series too.
Awesome. That sounds like good reasons. So we're actually going to start our review. We're going to review Blackfox first, and then we will move into Angelic Layer. So I'll go ahead and read you a synopsis for Blackfox and follow up with some statistics. Rika Isurugi has spent her life training in the way of the ninja with her grandfather, Hyoe, while following in the footsteps of her father, the esteemed researcher Alan. His work is accumulated in a set of cutting-edge drones equipped with artificial intelligence and incredible technical capabilities. Although Alan plans to develop these drones for civilian use, there are others who have more sinister ideas in mind. On Rika's 16th birthday, things are forever changed when a paramilitary group raids the Isurugi house in search of the drone technology, killing Alan and Hyoe while Rika manages to escape with the drones. Months pass, and now Rika is an ordinary girl working as a private detective while sharing an apartment with another girl, Melissa. When the night falls, she dons her grandfather's Blackfox mask and mercilessly hunts down those responsible for the attack. With the anger that she felt that day driving her forward, Rika will not rest until her family's killers receive the justice that they deserve. I kind of wish that the synopsis was just the first paragraph, just to maybe keep some suspense since the film's only an hour and a half long. It's animated by Studio 3 Hertz, and it came out pretty recently, and I think it was a Crunchyroll film production, though I might be incorrect. But that being said, I also saw some advertisements for this movie, so I was interested in checking it out as well. Does anyone want to start us out with thoughts on story, especially as this is a movie? So I feel like, I don't know, I always kind of have that context in my mind when it comes to the story. Did you guys like it? Did you think it was kind of let me know.
I think it's nice that we have an original story. This isn't based off anything. It's not based off a manga. It's not based off a video game. It's just somebody trying to take an idea or an original story and run with it, and I want more anime to do that. That being said, I find that for a risk-taking endeavor, it's very safe. This entire story I've seen 60 times before and better. But I will give it that it does have that blockbustery feel. Everything that is going to happen in this story is very predictable, but not so predictable that I felt that my brain was completely turning off. I had to at some point adjust my expectations because I went into this show with the lowest expectations I could because it had a relatively low score on my anime list when I went into it. And when I go into shows that have a low score, I try and keep my expectations low but open, because who knows, maybe I won't agree with everybody else on the planet who watched this and didn't give it the highest score. But if there's one place that Blackfox did not excel, in my opinion, it is the story. I felt that it was relatively forgettable and not something that really had me super engaged. I think it would have done better as a TV series, actually. I felt there's a lot of really good ideas in here, but because they were all shoved into an hour and 30 minutes, a lot of stuff was neglected or not really spread out as it could have been. And characters that I thought may have been interesting really didn't get much screen time, even though it's implied that they're very important. So I don't know if this is going to be a movie series or what, but I don't know. It just, it was not impressive in that regard, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I'd honestly agree completely. I think that story was the weakest aspect of the film for me. Like you said, I feel like so many plots of this film have been done a million times. Particularly, there is a father-daughter relationship that I looked at and I was like, oh, it's Dr. Tomo and Hotaru from Sailor Moon. It's like exactly the same thing. I knew exactly what it was and where it was going. And it was just, The original thing in the story that I was interested in is I like the concept of animal droids. I thought that was kind of cool. And I wished that, you know, like you said, Cassie, if it was a TV series, they could have gone more in depth to these elements. But as it stands, as a standoff movie, it's a lot of just like surface level intrigue that doesn't really do anything new, because instead they rely on a lot of plot cliches.
It's true.
So
one story beat that I did find interesting is that she is kind of put in a position where she needs to choose a path that she feels she either needs to follow in her grandfather's footsteps or her father's, which they could have done a lot of things with that. One, because they're two different ways of life, and two, because it's two male figures that she's trying to kind of push herself in one direction or the other, and those male figures are saying, you don't have to be like us. And that is a really cool feminist message that they could have had a lot of fun with, but instead it's there at the beginning. They bring it back at the end for like 2 seconds with a very conveniently placed message. And and it's just kind of left there to die. I think that it could have been something that they could have had a lot of fun with and really could have explored through a female character, but instead they chose to introduce a really good idea and then half-bake it, which is basically what happens with a lot of stuff in this show, or this movie. Like, there's so much interesting stuff that they could have done, and unfortunately either they didn't have the runtime or the imagination to follow through.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, John? Did you like the story? Did you notice anything cliche? Like, what'd you think?
I noticed a lot of cliche things, and there was as I was watching it, I saw hints of things, and I was like, "Is that going to lead to this thing later on?" And sure enough, but sort of stepping back a bit. It kind of feels like a superhero origin story, in a way. It's like going back to your comment about it being like a blockbuster. It definitely felt like sort of a Marvel superhero origin story, and kind of like, not to say anything super spoily about the ending. It felt kind of sequel baiting at the end as well.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, completely.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of where I have a hard time with this, because if I look at it as, oh, there could be more, like, Cassie, I think it was you who's like, maybe this was supposed to be a movie series. Then I'm a bit more forgiving. If I just look at it as a standalone, I'm like, what did I do? Like, I don't know. I'd be really upset with this if it was a standalone, is all I'm going to say.
On its own, it's just like lacking something, but with the with that sequel baiting at the end, if it does get a sequel, then maybe we can explore those other elements a bit better.
Yeah. I think that for me, as far as the cliches go, the absolute weakest thing for me was the villain. I just, that was...
Especially because you don't even get the satisfaction of the real big bad, really. Like,
yeah, that's true. Ugh.
Which is fine if it's going to be like a series or a TV series or something where there's going to be a continuation, because you do want that. To be fair, though, I still think the quote-unquote big bad is still pretty weak. But the fact that, you know, they're a very important person for whatever reason shows this kind of underground kind of espionage mission kind of thing that could be fun, like another Princess Principal or something. But again, that show kind of fell short, too, because things just aren't executed all that great in the ending. And I think that this particular movie would benefit from more installations, because it is an origin story, which is fine. Yeah. But if I have an origin story without any follow-up, then what's the point?
Yeah. Any more story, or are we good to move on to characters, you think?
I'm good.
I'm fine with moving on to characters.
Cool. Let's go ahead and do that. Cassie, I would love to ask about the cutie in your icon today.
Sure. Her name is Melissa, which is cute. She's adorable. She has very fluffy hair and really cute little glasses. And that's literally all she is.
Oh, she also wears oversized sweaters.
She does. And she passes that on to, oh God, what was the forgettable girl's name? Mia. There we go. Yeah. She transmits her style onto Mia, and definitely gives her an upgrade in that regard. But honestly, my feelings on Melissa are purely like moe based. I don't necessarily think she's that much of a strong character. I just aesthetically think she's cute, and I really liked watching the scene where she was trying to cook like 16 things at once, because it was like a fucking mood. I remember Friendsgiving, trying to get everything together before everybody showed up. It's a mood. But other than that, she's not the best character. She's just the most aesthetically pleasing character. Though if I were to talk about any of the other characters, I found most of the rest of them also to be extremely melodramatic. So that might be another reason why I gravitated towards her, because she was the one who made the most sense, even though she barely did anything at all.
Yeah. No, I resonate with a lot of that. She's super cute, so I was always just like really enjoying myself whenever she was on screen. And actually, you reminded me of a point that I wanted to bring up in story, which is just that, the characters react a lot of times in very melodramatic ways that, to me, I just like didn't have engagement with the stakes. So it did that thing that I hate where characters just like scream and cry a lot, and I don't feel like they really have reason to. That was kind of an issue for me with this movie. But again, maybe it was like in trying to play up the dramatics, like, because it's film stakes, but it just felt weird. And that's actually kind of one reason that while there were aspects of the main character, Rika or Lily, that I liked, sometimes her reactions to things would just turn around and be like really intense and melodramatic, and I was like, yeah, she grated on my patience a little bit.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Despite having some interesting characteristics, again, like Cassie mentioned, the conflict of what she wants to do in the future. I like her character design as well, more so in the beginning. And then I do like having a lead girl who, you know, can defend herself and is intelligent and is truly capable. Like, that's awesome. But again, like, just in the execution of just a movie, I don't think it delivered as much as I wanted.
Yeah, I'm also happy that this wasn't like a love story. I like that this was purely about a girl figuring out who she wanted to be in the world, and then having a tragic and traumatic experience really shape her and make her look at that trauma in different ways. That also inevitably help shape who she is, and she tries to fight both sides. And that could have been interesting. There are actually a few scenes in the movie that I thought were relatively powerful. For example, when she has a flashback to her father talking about forgiveness, for example. I liked that scene a whole lot. And then you have another scene where a girl tries to thank her, and she's like, "No! Don't thank me!" In the most overdramatic fucking scene in the fucking film. It's just a little much. There's a lot of melodrama. And normally I love melodrama. I eat that shit up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But because the movie has such a short runtime and so many of those scenes together, you never really get a break from that melodrama to really appreciate it. If you're somebody who even likes melodrama. If you don't like melodrama, you're going to have quite a few problems with this film. But if you're someone like me who can, appreciate it from time to time, then you're still not given enough time to really say, okay, well, that was fun. Now I need to turn my brain off again. That's not something you necessarily get to do.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know what exactly the definitions are, but I like melodrama if I feel like I can believe in it. But yeah, with this show, with like how short everything was and the quick turnaround, I couldn't.
It borders on being emotionally manipulative.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. John, did you have characters that you enjoyed? What'd you think of the cast?
I enjoyed the cast, but I still also... there wasn't enough time to really connect with anyone, and there were times where it felt like they were being melodramatic for no reason, or for shaky reasons, like, I've decided I'm going to be mad at you, so I have to keep being mad at you, even though I've just had a reason to ease up on you, even though...
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It seems that. The only one that didn't take part in the melodrama was Melissa, because she wasn't there.
She was better
like Cassie
for
said,
it, to be fair.
That's like part of what also makes her so enjoyable.
There was also the girl that also lives in the same apartment complex as Rika and Melissa.
Oh, yeah. The one that literally just runs around going, hi, bye, hi, bye. She was good, too.
She was also cute.
She was like, how dare you say hello to me? And, slammed her door closed. And then, I thought Mia was really stereotypical and forgettable, unfortunately.
Yeah. Which is a shame, because I love her character design. We'll get more into this into production, because I think that's really where this film has its peak. In its animation. But I do really enjoy her character design, and that's really about it. Like, I don't know. Like, she had potential, but again, like, her backstory was rushed. Her relationship with her father was really half-baked. Her relationship with Lily is strange, because they start out as sort of friends, and then they have a fight, and it's like, oh, but I met that girl today, but she's my best friendo. And like, it's just, and then they have this weird conflict, and it's just, it's a lot. I don't like their relationship a whole lot, except for there were a couple moments where I got to say gay really loud at the TV, and that's about it.
It was really just like, you met once, and then it's like I agree. The stakes weren't really there, and I didn't care much about it. And it made me curious to think of other films that have been able to do really good, like, compelling character relationships that were also short, like the original Blackrock Shooter, which I haven't seen. But it made me want to go back and be like, I wonder how, they did something like this, because I know that film had a lot of success. And was kind of within a similar genre of, like, girl action stuff and a bit of supernatural. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it here. I just thought that she really fell into an archetype, unfortunately. And like you said, it was rushed. Like, I mean, the fact that she just, for years, is treated a certain way and, like, still has faith in that person. I guess that's related to abuse, but I was also just like, you need to stop. Like, this is a cartoon villain, honey.
Yeah, there was even a part where towards the end where, they fight the main villain, and then the main villain, like, does one last action that was really fucked up. And right when it happened, Lily, my significant other, was like, of course.
Right?
Of course.
Right?
Because we can't have this we can't finish this movie unless we have an over-the-top fight between these two girls, because why not?
Yeah. Same. Actually, like, exactly the same. My thoughts as well.
I just had one thought about... I guess it's still more characters, but... Rika is like this ninja kind of character. And part of me, even though there are supernatural elements in the series, part of me is actually really glad that they didn't fall back to ninja magic. All of her abilities are skills that she's picked up from her grandfather and subsidized with technology that she's gotten from her father, or like worked on herself. And I just personally think that's really cool. She's like a real life modern day ninja, and like this guy. Because ninja, in real life, they were a real thing. They didn't have magic. It was all them using technology and skills and, like, just being high up.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, if anything, the first scene of this film really shows you that, like, from a kid, she's been hardworking to hone the abilities that she has. And just kind of like the honor of the family as well. Yeah, I think that's expressed nicely, and it's also kind of a nice parallel if you think about the way that Mia is often, like, has her powers. But I am super excited, honestly, to get into the production on this because Cassie alluded to a really good point earlier that I agree with, which is just that I think that the art and animation was the highlight of the film for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, honestly, on a lot of fronts, I think what struck out to me the most was the character designs, which I really liked, with Melissa being kind of the main one, but I also really like Rika's design. I like her eyes. I'm sorry I keep calling her Rika. Lily. It's meh.
She
We know
goes
who
back
you're
to
talking
being-
about.
Yeah. I like her. I like the way she looks. I like the cinematography in the movie. The color palette and the action scenes, of course, are good. There are also just some really pretty backgrounds.
Mhm.
There's a scene in Melissa's bedroom, and it's like the cutest little, like, girliest, like, cute little apartment. And I was just like, oh, that's so nice. I want to be there.
Her phone is just so cute.
Yes, with the cat. Ah, that's so good. So those little details I thought were nice, and I mean, it definitely just helped in moments where other things definitely lacked. That the movie was fun to look at.
Yeah.
Did you guys think it was fun to look at?
Yeah, like, I ended up taking a moment and pausing it and just staring at the background. And, like, it looked like, watercolors, kinda? But still, like, fit in and actually gave, like, a lived-in feel to the world. Whereas, like, they did use CG, which I got feelings on. But that was only mostly towards the start that it had the kind of meh CG. And I end up stopping and having to think of, they could have just done this entirely in CG. But they still at least went to the effort of having these beautifully painted backgrounds. And it definitely earned back some points that it lost with that. I feel in my book anyway.
That is interesting that you brought that up. Because I feel like maybe just in comparison to some stuff I've seen lately, there was some CG in here that I didn't think looked great, but I feel like I feel like it wasn't egregious. Like they used it on like tanks and robots and stuff.
Yeah.
But like,
It's just towards
I
the
don't
start
know.
they had a CG crowd.
I mean, there were CG crowds and CG cars, but it was background. I didn't really.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it really bothered me. Maybe just because I've seen worse and more frequent.
Yeah, I've definitely seen
It's
worse.
It's just an anime staple at this point. If
Yeah.
you're going to be spending the rest of your budget in another place where the CG isn't the forefront of the shot, then whatever. You want a CG car or a CG person. And it was only like a minute long scene where they showed that amount of people. It's whatever.
It's mostly just like, hey, here's some quick looks at the city around the place. And here's our main character. Now we can actually get to the good animation.
Yeah. I don't think it bothered me too much. And then I thought the music was solid. It was like serviceable.
I was really enjoying the soundtrack.
Yeah?
Yeah. Nothing in particular jumping out at mind as like, yeah, that was how it went. But like, again, like, actually bought the same scene at the start. I was just like, CG character, CG scenes, but pretty backgrounds, and you know what? I'm taking this music. Yeah, 2 pluses. There we go. I like this. So
sounded like movie soundtrack. Sounded appropriately intense for, hey, we're a movie.
Yeah, it's like, here's an action scene. Here's some actiony soundtrack, and yeah, it works.
What did y'all think of the voice acting then?
Sight.
Yeah.
Like, it was
I think
okay.
it was fine. Again, I think the issue was more just that like a lot of scenes were directed to be very melodramatic.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah. That's probably about it. I think the last thing I have on production is I wrote these movie credits XD. Just because I was just like, oh, this is cool. I did not expect it. That they just do like Marvel grade movie credits and they say like starring so-and-so as so-and-so. And I wasn't actually sure if it was like supposed to be their voice actors or not, because for Lily, I think they say starring Rika as Lily. And I was like, are we doing this like an actual movie?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird, but it was well put together. I had cool transitions and shit.
Yeah.
All right, fam, we ready to rate this thing?
Sure.
Okay. John, you get to go last. I'll go ahead and go first. I pretty much just give Blackfox a check it. I think it's a popcorn movie. It's not, to me, I think it's weakest if it just stands on its own. I feel like I might even just recommend people check it out, but after they make a second one, supposedly, maybe, hopefully, because standalone, it has a lot of fallbacks. But I mean, hey, if you're in the mood for a popcorn, like, well-animated thing for an hour and a half, go check it out. That's pretty much my rating for it. And I do have a recommendation if you do want another anime film that tackles a bit of, like, the future and technology and intelligent beings that aren't human. Go watch Time of Eve. It's a good movie. Should be checked out. That's about it. What you got for us, Cassie?
Okay. I think that this best is seen as like a summer anime Marvel flick. If I were to go and see this exact same plot played out with live action characters in the middle of summer, going with Craig to get some popcorn and some ices, I would be like, yeah, this is exactly what I came for. This is exactly what I got. And honestly, it's everything that's written on the package. If you're willing to go in and sit through a blockbuster movie about a girl trying to avenge her family, then you're going to have a good time. If you're looking for something more thought-provoking or dealing with more serious issues, go watch A Silent Voice or Your Name or something. But if you're just looking for something to even just put on in the background when your weed friends are in town and everybody's trying a few edibles or drinking back a few shots of Fireball, then this is your shit. I also will mirror check it. I don't think it's offensive. I don't even think it's a bad movie. I think it's just a very mediocre film that could benefit from more installments. So yeah, check it out. It might be up your road, and if it's not, you'll know from what we said in here whether you should give it a check or not.
Well said.
Yep.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I just agree with everything said, really. Really hoping that they do come out with more with this series, more movies to tie in with this. Hopefully, maybe. But I won't be too heartbroken if this is all that is. But yeah, check it out. It's a fun popcorn flick kind of thing. And if that's what you're after, hey, go for it.
Nice. So wait, was that a check-in?
Yeah,
Sorry,
check it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, unanimous. Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm curious to see how our ratings will be for our next one. Because, yeah, just given how long it is, there's a lot more to talk about and a lot more to think about. So we're going to move into our second review for the episode, where we're going to talk about Angelic Layer, which was animated by, crazy enough, Studio Bones. I think it was one of their very early works that they did, and the first time they adapted something from an original source material. Although, don't quote me, that's just what I read on the Mal forums. And the synopsis goes as such. 12-year-old Misaki Suzuhara has just gotten involved in Angelic Layer, a battling game using electronic dolls called angels. Even as a newbie, Misaki shows advanced skills as she meets new friends and enters Angelic Layer tournaments to fight the greatest Angelic Layer champions of the nation. I probably should have mentioned off-right, though John said it earlier, this is a clamp work. So I mean, right out the gate, I was definitely interested in checking it out for that reason. Because it was clamp, and I like clamp. I like a lot of clamp works. Cardcaptor Sakura is awesome. I enjoyed Tsubasa. So yeah. I guess let's go into story. John, what do you think about the story for Angelic Layer?
It's not really anything super deep. It is ultimately just about a girl entering a fighting tournament, sort of fighting game tournament, in a ways, with a custom fighting doll, and just a big tournament arc, and with a couple of training segments here and there.
It is a big tournament arc.
Yeah.
It really is.
Though there's some side subplots here and there. So the story isn't really the big selling point of it, in all honesty.
Could I... Actually, yeah, Cassie, would you like to share a fact that you shared with me that was very illuminating given my thoughts on the story
This
of this?
this show is based on a manga that is only 5 volumes long.
Yep.
Yes.
And has 26 episodes.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
There is no reason on God's green earth that needed to happen.
It
Like,
is
they
very
easily
padded
could-
out.
Oh, you are being generous, John.
Very padded out.
Oh,
Yeah,
you sweet
so-
summer child swaddled in the blanket of ignorance.
So Cassie just brings up, like, the first thing I told Cassie about the show, and this was like 5 episodes in, is I was just like, it feels like it is 30-minute episodes that are tackling 10 minutes of plot writing, like 10 minutes of story, but it's just so stretched. Like, I get, like, I hear the word padded and that makes me think supplemented. I just feel like this was stretched.
Yeah.
Like let's just take about 10 minutes to say one thing. Let's let's ask the same questions over and over. Let's put this still of this character and this still of this character right after they talk to each other. Like, it just felt so long-winded and dragging. Although I will say, I guess it does feel padded to me near the last maybe like 6 episodes or so. It feels padded because there's a lot there. And to my knowledge, some of the plot ending skews differently in the anime from the manga. No need to go into spoilers about it, but I think this was Bones doing what they've done with some other works, which is, hey, we're kind of gonna opt for an anime ending, which I can't, like, fault them for, per se.
I can. They made me sit through 26 episodes.
That's true. It wasn't needed, and it wasn't a smart choice to make this anything longer than 12 episodes.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Is that how you feel, Cassie?
Roughly. And honestly, like, the first half of the show was definitely stretched, but overall just felt very middle of the road. Very harmless. I didn't feel necessarily like I was wasting my time, but I was a little bit worried about where it was going to go. I got to the second half of the show, and I feel like that's when the writers were like, oh man, shit, we should probably put some drama in here.
Yeah.
How do we squish this in as quickly as possible but not make it blatantly obvious? And then they did it with all of the elegance of a 2-year-old trying to perform the Nutcracker on Broadway. It was a lot.
It was, and it's very, like, abrupt and, like, jerky to witness when you've been used to it being paced a certain way. That I think is absolutely true.
Yeah. And here's another thing. Like, I love underdog stories, and that's what this is supposed to be trying to be. I do not like, oh, I'm new to this and I'm suddenly the best at it forever.
Mm-hmm.
That also is a part of the story that frustrates me a little bit. Granted, there are other shows that do that as well that I did enjoy. For example, the entire time I was watching Angelic Layer, I was like, man, I could be going and watching Build Fighters and having a much better time. And I have some similar complaints about that show, but because it's just so fun, I don't care. But the show isn't fun, so I care a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think my biggest issue with the pacing being so egregious is because I feel like this is a show that's aimed towards kids, which is awesome. It's cool to have shows that are aimed towards kids. But with that said, a lot of the episode plot lines I could tell within the first 3 minutes. And so knowing that and then having it stretched like extremely long-winded was just difficult for me to get through. Like there's an episode with a girl and she is like, there are like flashbacks and she's like, oh, I'm being made fun of because I'm tall. And then this boy's like, hey, nice angel. And she's like, oh, cool. And then she goes up against Misaki and she's like, you're small. It's easy being small. And I'm like, I know exactly what's going to fucking happen. She's going to learn that size doesn't matter. And then, you know, you can tell from like a mile away.
And then she's in love with this dude that she's known for 5 seconds.
And then she's in love with the boy. Yeah, the boy that complimented her, who of course is going to come back and say, hey, you're great. Because what always happens is like, I don't know, I feel like when build fighters, for example, would bring in these like external opponents, the battles were made interesting because there were eccentricities and uniquenesses to the characters that were against like our main character, for example. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the external cast and like people that Misaki battles are so one note that like just immediately I didn't care. And you know she's going to progress because plot. Like, ugh. I don't know. That was a bit of a tangent. But John, how do you feel about the... Okay. John, how do you feel about the pacing of the show?
Yeah, it definitely drags. It's like, okay, just get to the angel fight and then we can have some fun action scenes. But even some of those were a bit dragged out too. Mm-hmm. Especially towards the start.
Honestly, the angel fights, I thought some of them were interesting. The last angel fight, the very, very, very last one we get, is kind of cool. They have roses in there. It's interesting. They play with some really interesting stuff. But I felt that a lot of the angel matches, especially the ones that were like, oh, it ended in one punch, but we spent 15 minutes with the characters staring at each other because they're so good at this game that they don't have to move, and we could save some frames. It'll be great. Everyone's having a great time. Or, here's the thing. The Hikaru's moveset. She punches, she kicks, and her one awesome move is something that she ripped off of another player. Yeah. So, why am I even rooting for this doll that doesn't do anything? Like, all the other opponents at least had some little gimmick. But, I mean, I guess the whole premise is supposed to be Hikaru is an underdog. She's an underdog angel. But do something to make her fights interesting to watch. I don't know. I was bored during most of them.
Yeah. I'd have to say the same thing. I think I explained it. Like, I don't think I'm necessarily one who does really love this genre. Like, I liked build fighters, but I think just the core premise of, like, having, like, toys fight each other, I don't know if it's, like, my favorite thing. You know, something actually that I always was under assumption with this show that I wish had happened is I wish that the angels weren't just silent dolls. I think I always thought that they would be able to talk and have their own personalities.
I think I actually talked to John about this.
Yes, you did.
I feel like that would have made it so much more interesting, and that's what I had always hoped for. Even just to get an investment in, like, the Deuces caring about their angels. Because, again, if they're just kind of, like, lifeless avatars that just kind of move, it wasn't really as cool, I guess. So, I don't know. Like, I thought Hikaru was going to talk and, like, be a character, but that's just not the way that the show worked, and that's too bad. I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so story things that I did like. I like Hatoko and pretty much everything surrounding Hatoko. Like, Hatoko and Misaki's relationship was cool. Hatoko's reason for fighting was really cool. Their rivalry. Like, my favorite episode is a match between Hatoko and Misaki, and Misaki learns a really important lesson through that fight, and I love that episode.
I do. And she has this, like, Hatoko has the best line in the entire show, and that's don't lose to anyone but me. And I was like, oh, I feel that at my core. God. But then they ruin it by other story plot things happening, and then Hatuko being basically shoved into the background where she doesn't belong. She belongs to be in the fight. She belongs as Misaki's rival. And then who they replace as Misaki's rival is one of the biggest problems I have with the show.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun.
That, if anything, Hatuko being shafted is also another reason why the second half of the show is less fun for me.
That's a good point.
Rip-off Tomoyo should have had more screen time.
Yeah, I loved Hatako and everything with her. And so, yeah, I definitely can mirror that my engagement got a lot lower at that point. Let's see. John, is there anything in the story that's like particularly your favorite element that you like?
Not really, to be honest. I'm sort of blanking at the moment for no real reason.
Did you like the combat, like, at the time? Did you think it was cool?
When they actually put some proper effort into the combat, like the match against Wizard.
Yeah,
I really,
that one was good.
Really enjoyed that match. I'm remembering certain standout moments. I'm like, yeah, that was really cool. When she was like up against some new challenge and like trying to figure it out, like the girl with the ice skates or the one that was outright cheating with electric whips. Even if that solution was kind of dumb, but
you know, John, you make a really good point, because I do like the episodes where we see that Misaki has to think. Because most of the time, she just runs around and wins. Because speed. That's it. Like, when she actually has to... And I especially liked when she fought the Whip Girl, because it directly relates to the training that she just went through. So, that there's payoff. Like, there's payoff right there. But we never really see Misaki train after that.
No, not really.
At all. Which is unfortunate, because then we could have seen, I don't know, Hatako giving her some tips, or... I don't know, Ojiro being like, hey, here's a new dance move, another sick twist that she can do on the battlefield. I don't care. Just like anything, because like you said, those are the fights that have the best payoff. Like, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, after that, absolutely. The only sort of quote unquote training was, oh, I watched these two other characters play fighting, and now I can imitate their moves.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent, I kind of liked the first time she did that. Like, when she had her first Angelic Layer fight, and she remembered a move that Tamayo had performed on Kotaro, and it worked out.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool. But then when they kept recycling that kind of mindset, yeah, I agree, it kind of wasn't as good anymore.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the bulk of what I want to talk about next goes into characters, might do some crosswork with story. Are we all cool if we kind of navigate towards character talk?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Steer
John,
this
who is...
John, take the wheel.
Can't. Yeah, I was like, we can't steer the ship, John. Who's your favorite character?
So I really, well, I agree they didn't really handle any of the characters super brilliantly in the end. I still just really enjoyed Misaki, our protag, along with Doll Angel, Hikaru. I also like that. It's in the anime, in the manga rather. I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I read the manga, in honesty, but I'm pretty sure she actually has a copy of Magic Knight Ray Earth out when she's making Hikaru. And I was slightly amused by the fact that in the anime, it's just, oh, she cut her hair too short.
Yeah. I heard that in the manga, they were a lot more blatant with the relation to Magic Knight Rayearth, and I noticed it because I watched Rayearth this last summer, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I heard in the anime, they kind of just, like, omitted that point completely, so it's an Easter egg that, like, I guess fans of Clamp will catch only, but it wasn't as, like, made point blank. I think she even said something about it being, like, a doll that she left at her grandparents' house or something. Named Hikaru? I can't recall.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Misaki's really, like, kind and sweet. Near the end episodes, I'd say almost to a fault.
Yeah, I think she's very easily manipulated by the people around her, and that's not her fault. It's just people taking advantage of her kindness or taking advantage of the fact that she's a fucking middle schooler.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. I don't, like...
There was some interactions that I was like, I am trying not to think about this too much. Because...
lol.
You know, John, funny, that thought went through my head several times while watching this. I'm glad that we had that moment.
Yeah.
Don't
Same
think
here.
about it. Just don't.
No.
Just stop.
No.
Just stop thinking about it, Cassie. You're just gonna get
God.
mad.
Okay. I think my thing with Hikaru is I don't hate her character, but I don't like her as a main character. Like,
The doll?
I told...
Misaki.
Misaki, sorry.
Okay,
Misaki.
I was like, okay. You're good.
No, Hikaru's fine. Misaki, I'm not a huge fan of her as a main character. I had a spin with Cassie, and I was like, I would have liked the show a lot more if Hatoko was the main character.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's nothing necessarily against Misaki, but it's just that I think Hatoko is so much more interesting as being like this. I mean, they call her a prodigy, but the thing is that she works hard. You see examples of like her from a very early age being very determined and working her butt off to try to get as good as she is, which is really cool. And she's driven by a powerful point, which is that she loves Angelic Layer so much because size and age don't matter. And you can probably assume in a lot of her outside context, she's treated as very like small and weak. So this is the one place where she can just like feel strong and feel confident about herself, which I love. And she's cute. I love her character design. And like Cassie said, all of the budget Tomoyo stuff, and any Tomoyo in a clamp show is best. Is best girl.
I think...
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, I think I agree with you. I think the show would have been infinitely better if Hatoko was the main character.
Yeah, that's basically all I was at too. Like, she's great. I like her a lot, and her getting shafted sucked. The end.
Yeah, and her drive is like, here's the thing. I love Misaki. She's fine. She's cute. She's a good girl. I don't dislike Misaki. I just think that her goals are very thin in comparison to even some of the side characters. Like, her goal is, I want to play Angelic Layer because I want to play Angelic Layer. Like, that's it. She really liked seeing a specific angel play once, and she's like, oh, that looks so cool. It'd be cool to meet that particular character. And that becomes her goal, and they try and make it this super... like reflective thing of like who she's really reaching out for. And they try and shove all that into the last couple episodes. And you could argue her goal to reach Athena is the same goal of reaching out to her mom, this unforeseeable goal that she doesn't really completely understand why she's driven towards herself. But the show doesn't really do a good job of really making that the thing. It's just she plays and she wins, and she plays and she wins, and she plays and she wins, and she plays and she wins. And the other thing is, like, all these other characters like Sai and Glasses Girl that I really liked. I can't remember. Kaede. And they're like, oh, once you play against her, you'll see that your view on things will change. And I'm like, but why though?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like she teaches them any like life lesson or anything. She just kicks their ass and then walks up to them and I kind of read it as passive-aggressive occasionally, and she's just like, oh, I'm sorry you lost. You were so strong, though. And it's like, that's it! That's all she does!
Yeah, like the one time I think that I really got a sense of her investment that I liked, again, is the episode where she first goes up against Hitoko, and then at the end you see her feeling a certain way. Ichan's like, how do you feel? And he's like, that's gonna make you a better player. And I was like, that's cool. Look, she like really cares. She's invested in it. And then it just kind of, I feel like the show didn't really reach that kind of depth within her desire to play very much until at least like the end, like Cassie mentioned. But I agree. Yeah, it just felt like very shallow, and it felt like I was just following her because she splat is like dropped down into the story as, hey, this is your main character. Like, that's really it for me.
I've just randomly remembered the scene where Misaki and Hatoko first meet, and Hatoko sees Hikaru and like is instantly admiring her joint, like how she's been set up and everything, and then just breaks and goes, why is your doll still naked?
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Who's clothes
oh
on
yeah,
this bitch?
That was yeah. I said kids show, but I'll be honest with y'all. I watched episodes 1 and 2. No, I watched episode 1 while I was going to my while I was going on my commute to see my counselor, and I had to stop. I was like, anyone that doesn't have the context of this, I feel uncomfortable if they like would glance over it.
Why do they have to be in the bathtub to?
Yeah,
that's weird.
I think that was anime only.
Yeah, and that
See,
also
there you go.
That also confused me about like Sai and her little sister, because it's like they made this angel together. She's in a hospital. How did they take a bath together? Like, whatever. Don't think about it, Cassie. Don't think about it, Cat. You're just gonna get mad, Cassie. Don't think about it, Cassie.
Yeah, that was just, which I feel like a lot of the things where I was a little bit were primarily just in the first few episodes, and then thankfully it made way for like tournament arcs and whatnot. But yeah, funny to know that might be anime only as far as the bad thing.
Oh, I don't remember that being a thing in the manga anyway, so don't quote me on that.
Love triangles and love squares between the characters. Gross. Hated it. Unnecessary. Dumb.
One of the things I really liked about this show at first was how simple and like cute and low-key Kotaro's crush on Misaki is. And then the show's like, fuck you, and slap me in the face.
Yeah.
I hate it.
And like there's so many ways that this show is very much a product of its time. Like there's a part where Kotaro is talking to his friend, and his friend makes a comment of, oh, you know, boys and girls can't just be friends.
Right.
And I was like, oh my god, I hate this chauvinistic way of thinking. And then later, Kotaro, to the person that he ends up being with, is like, I mean, we can try being together, but only if you do all of the things that I am going to set up as rules in our relationship to make me feel comfortable, because I'm a man and you need to act like a woman around me. And I'm like, oh shit, I hate his character now. Oh no. Oh, this is gross.
I really liked him for most of the show.
I did too. I was so upset.
I just wanted him to be a good little subservient boyfriend. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted for him. That's the role he was playing.
Yeah. And then don't even get me started on Ojiro and his
oh my god,
weird fucking tastes.
Ah! I was just messaging Cassie dying. I was just like, I think I used poop emojis. She
did. Like, she was so upset. And I was like, don't worry. It gets worse. And then she would talk about another thing, and I was like, oh, but it gets worse. Ojiro sucks. Which is unfortunate because I really like his voice actor. In Japanese. I watched this in Japanese.
Who is he in Japanese?
Let me go look it up. Real quick, the name escaped me, but while we're talking about this, were there any other actual characters that everybody did like even from like the supporting cast or the ensemble cast or anything like that?
I like Jikan, but I also can see he's incredibly problematic.
he's just, I mean, like, Ichan to me went from problematic to just kind of annoying. There were times that I actually really liked his character. I liked it when he would be supportive to Misaki, but then you just get all of that pile on in the last half, and I got really angry because he has shit taste in women. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Soichiro Hoshi is the guy who voiced Ojiro.
No, he's so good. What's he doing?
I don't know, but to be fair, I actually kind of liked Ojiro at first. I was like, oh, he's gonna be the cool senpai who, occasionally shows up like Tuxedo Mask and gives her these weird, like, assistant moments, but isn't necessarily the love interest. And then the latter half of the show was like, but what if he was, though? Like, Cassie, could you just, but what if he was? Could you just take into consideration that could happen? And I'm like, no, show. Please don't. And they're like, but what if we did?
Misaki's on?
She was fine.
I don't like how she enabled her sister's bad life choices, but otherwise she was neat.
She at least called her out on her bad life choices at times.
Yeah, but then it doesn't matter because then she goes, well, I understand, One-sama. I understand why you're making this choice to be literally the worst parent ever.
Mm.
And shoving all your parenting responsibilities on me.
You know who I really ended up just, like, chuckling at? I liked, the girl that worked at Piffle, and she just, like, made fun of Ogata, and then she's like, no, I like a man that I can, like, make fun of.
Yeah, she was fun.
And then they end up together? I'm like, hell yeah, girl.
Get it.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was cute.
Fun. But yeah, a lot of the characters, I just had some irritation with. One in massive particular.
Poop hair.
Oh, yeah, she does have poop hair. I mentioned that to Cassie. I won't go too heavy into spoilers. We might be able to do a spoiler room later if y'all want. After ratings, we'll reevaluate. I hate Misaki's mom.
Yeah,
so much.
She sucks. I actually had to sit there for a minute and be like, which mom do I hate more? Shuko or Hanebado mom? Which one do I detest more? It's actually closer than you would think. I hate them both so much.
The choices she makes are so frustrating, and what
I think I made a decision. I hate Shuko more because at the end of the day, at least Hanebado mom was like, yes, I can own that I was a shitty parent, but this is why I did it. Whereas Shuko's mom, or whereas Shuko the mom is like, oh, I made these bad life decisions, but in the end, it was just because I just wanted to do the best thing for my daughter by doing the literal worst thing for my daughter.
Yeah.
She tries to make it self-righteous, and even she calls herself out in the end, which I kind of appreciated, but I was also like, listen, you don't get to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I was the shittiest parent ever for 7 years, but we're best friends now. You don't get to do that, show!
Yeah, and I think what frustrated me so much more, like, this shouldn't have been a big deal, this is just bad writing, though, is that, like, everybody loves and supports her and justifies her, even though her character flaws and her bad decisions are right out there in the front. And that just made me so fucking mad. And I got mad at how everybody held so much shit over Misaki's head the entire show for the sake of her shitty ass mom. Like, it felt disgusting and manipulative, and with certain characters, it just, we're not going to go back to Ojiro, but like, God, I just...
Yeah, like, they knew from the very beginning who Misaki was. They could have easily given her access to her mother at any time, but instead they took the side of this shitty person who cares more about her being able to move her legs than she does her fucking daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Hate her. Fucking awful. And the whole second half of the anime basically focuses on her, and that's why it sucks.
Yeah. Oh, I did just remember a good scene that justifies John's point about Shoko being, or not Shoko, sorry, her sister.
Yeah.
Being good. There's a scene where she's like, you do know that there are parents out here that are dealing with the same shit you are and have it worse, and they're still parenting their kids. Why the fuck can't you do that? And I was like, thank you.
Yeah, girl. Preach.
Good God.
Preach, sister. Come on. Come on down to the front. Yell it louder for those in the back.
John, you've been a little quiet on Misaki's mom. I'm curious to know your thoughts on her.
Is that code for she sucks? Do you also think she sucks?
I agree, she sucks. It was a cool fight with them.
Okay, cool.
Though, but,
Right.
But, yeah, no. Even the first time watching it, I was like, really? Really?
Guys, do you know who Kotaro was voiced by?
No.
Jun Fukuyama.
Oof. Baby.
Damn. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, John. That was a lot for me. Anyway, continue.
I'm blanking on who that is at the moment.
Kotaro is the friend.
No, Jun.
Oh, Jun Fukuyama? He's done a shit ton of stuff.
I'm
Let me
sure
pull
he
him
is.
up real quick.
Blanking on.
No, you're fine. I'll go and find some of his roles that you would probably know really well. But in the
While we're looking... Oh, yeah. Let me just, say that I read a shit ton about the characters and their connections to Chobits, because they have a shared universe in this story.
Yeah,
and
Ichan, uses data he retrieved from the, angel fights to develop the Chobits.
And apparently he's dead at the beginning of Chobits,
Yes.
and I was like, what the fuck? That, like, tilted me so bad, and then I read all up on that stuff, and, like, there's a lot of interesting stuff with Ichan later, but none of it's touched on or even, like, addressed in fucking Angelic Layer. And that's another forced romance that I hated. I'm just kidding. Especially because it doesn't do anything. If you read, like, what happens later, I'm just like, what was the fucking point?
I am actually, like, as a fan of Clamp, I'm like, okay, what the fuck happened to this guy between Angelic Layer and Chobits?
Yeah!
It's a big
I feel like
blank.
he had a really rough life.
Yeah!
Also, Jun Fukuyama voices Yuta from Chunibyo and Lelouch from Code Geass.
Oh, fuck!
Big prolific. Yeah, so, we want to move on to production?
Sure.
Yeah.
I have some nice things to say for once, thank God.
Ooh, would you like to say those nice things for us?
It's kind of like the exact same thing as the review before. Like, I don't like the story. The characters are actually worse in Angelic Layer. But I did like the production. I actually really like that in a way that John picked a much older show for us to watch, because I really do like the aesthetic of this show. It feels nostalgic to me. I really liked the character designs. I loved their uniforms.
Their uniforms are so cute.
Kotoko has the best one.
Yes.
Or Hotoko. She has the best one. The red one's better than the blue one, but they're still good. I really like Misaki's hairstyle. I just really like all the character designs, even though some of them are a bit, like, totally Clamp reused. Like, Kaede, I'm pretty sure I've seen her in, like, 15 other Clamp titles. But most of them are, like, different and interesting. And I like how things move. I liked some of the battles. I thought that the openings and the EDs were nice. I liked the production of the show. I thought it was nice.
What about you, John?
Again, I just keep remembering, like, certain really, really well animated fights. And yeah, there are some that are kind of just very static. But when they actually went in on the fights and really put a lot of effort into it, it shows. And I feel like some of those scenes really age really well.
I do really like the scene when Misaki basically does the call and, like, throws Hikaru in. It's good that I like it because they reused it so much, but, like, it looked nice, especially when she, like, breaks her pose and then there's, like, the lighting from up there. That part was really cool. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like the designs and stuff too. I I feel like I wish the Bones adaptation had made the anime look a little more stylized, because to me it looks like Clamp a little bit stripped down.
Yeah,
It is definitely a more watered down Clamp aesthetic.
I feel like Chobit struck a bit better of like a middleman of being like a little more polished but still simplistic. But again, the show was made before that, and so for what it is, it's good. I wished it was a little more stylistic, but it's nice, and the colors are vibrant, and where they put attention to the animation, I really liked it. And I agree with Cassie. I liked the opening a lot. I also liked the EDs.
I liked the first ED more, but
yeah,
I skipped
agree.
the second one after I listened to it a couple times. I was like, well, this is all right. But the first ED I listened to every time. I just really liked that song.
It was so nostalgic sounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty much on all fronts. The opening was really catchy when it got to the chorus, too. I liked that. But it had all the good Sakuga in it.
Yeah.
Do you like the opening, John?
I love the opening. It's not a song I go out my way to listen to, but like I never skipped it though. So
I thought it was alright. It was okay.
Voice acting is actually an interesting topic, because I watched the show in the English dub.
You brave soul.
Brave Soul is mostly
to be honest.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Because
Nice.
when I first started watching Angelic Layer, I was collecting the DVDs, and this was back when I was still watching things dubbed first. But then later on, when I went back and actually was able to finish watching it, because I never finished collecting the DVDs of Angelic Layer. But when I eventually did go back and finish watching the series, I did watch it in Japanese, so I have experience with both.
Nice. That's a cool setup, since then, Cassie, you watched it in sub, so we have like
I did.
the whole roundabout.
There's actually some pretty good names in the Japanese dub. I was not a fan of Misaki's voice actress. I thought that she did the young and squeaky a little bit too much. But otherwise the cast was fine. They had some really good names in there. And like Lily would walk by and be like, "Oh, it's Jun Fukuyama," or "Ooh, it's freaking Kotoro's voice actor that I already forgot the name of because my brain's dead." But,
Soichiro Hoshi?
yeah, there we go. Like, she would just walk by and be like, "Oh, it's that voice actor. Oh, it's that voice actor." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I didn't know that, but thanks. Now I know."
But cool. Cool, it's added on now.
But yeah, there's some pretty good names in the dub, the Japanese dub. And I think the only one that I didn't like was Misaki herself, which is unfortunate because she talks a lot. But it's fine. She's fine. There's worse performances out there. It was fine.
Guess what? That's a common thing with the English dub as well.
What?
Yeah. I don't. You know, it's interesting because Jessica Boone, who does Misaki, I recognized her from when she was Rue in Princess Tutu, and I'm almost wondering if what ended up being, well, I think this was probably an early production of hers, like one of her quick ones, but then also she is playing a very little girl, and I think she was directed or felt she had to sound a lot like a little girl.
Yeah.
Because the range of her voice in Princess Tutu is a lot deeper, and I feel like that's probably closer to her natural voice. So she had to kind of like put an effort to sound like a little girl all the time, and it just was kind of noticeable, and it was just like bad emotional acting, I thought.
Yeah.
Though I'll say I think that was a problem for the English dub, like, in general. I hate the mom's voice so much. She's so bad.
I really don't remember the mom's voice in the dub. I think as far as I got with the dub, she may not have had any voiced lines, thinking about it.
With as far as you got in the dub?
As far as I got in the dub.
Let me give you an example. Misaki, I'm so sorry. I did something wrong and I should repay you because I'm your mother, but I literally talk all of the time like I have no idea what's going on and with very little emotion. And it's just bad. God, I cannot tell you, like, I understand what the last few episodes were trying to do with the emotion, but the performances in the dub were so fucking bad that it was just cringe. Like, it was total cringe. But also very early Monica Rial voice as Tamayo, which it's fine. It made Tamayo kind of grating, but like I think part of that's just in her personality. So there is that. I liked Kotaro's voice actor, but I have to look up who it was. It was someone named Kevin Korn, who I've never heard of, but he sounded like an awkward teenage boy, so it fit. Oh shit, he was Daisuke Niwa in the DN Angel dub.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
DN Angel is one of those animes that I liked when I was like 13 and I should never revisit ever again. Like,
yeah, no, don't ruin it for yourself.
Yep.
Oh, and Ojiro is voiced by Chris Patton. And that's another shame as to what his character became, because it was Chris Patton as a pretty boy. Like,
God damn
I'm good
it.
with that, but yeah. And Ichan sounded okay. I don't know who his voice actor was. I'll look it up in a second. Oh shit, Tiffany Grant was Sai.
Oh damn.
She did kind of like emotionless, but I feel like it's just because they always animated Sai with like no emotion. Mm-hmm. So makes sense. Now I'm curious, though, how Misaki sounded annoying in Japanese.
I mean, you could just open up a random episode and go to where she's talking. She also has this little voice tick that she does where she goes, yeah, and it drove me nuts.
Oh, no. I am sorry. Ichido was voiced by Andy McCavan in the dub, who I've never heard of, but he's been in a lot of stuff, including he was the fucking awful teacher for Mazumanga Daioh that hit on all the girls, and that makes sense why he could do those moments where Ichan was like super creepy and weird.
Someone's been typecast.
It's Wiggly Ichan!
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was funny, yeah, but yeah. So that's that in production.
Masaya Onosaka was his voice actor in Japanese.
Was he noted for anything?
Let's see. Sailor Moon.
As?
Jadeite?
Cool. Very cool.
Cockobscure Clear Card Hen as fucking Kara Bears.
I mean, why not?
Later, Kero. Interesting. Yeah, so they both have kind of eclectic actors. That's funny. So yeah, that's about my thoughts on production. Are we ready to rate this sucker, or should we?
I mean, I'm game.
Bring up some
I'm
stuff?
hungry.
Sure.
Yeah. Cassie, can you go ahead and give me a rating?
All right, I'm gonna go from hungry to hangry. Here we go. All right. Angelic Layer is one of the most middle-of-the-road shows that I've watched in a long time. Which, to be fair, coming out of Dust Maiden of Amnesia, kind of a fresh, a breath of fresh air. I'll take it. But at the same time, it just really frustrated me. I had a really hard time with it. I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Rin, about this show because she loved Angelic Layer when she was younger. And I really wanted her point of view on it. And she's like, listen, Cassie, the show is a product of its time, and it needs to stay a product of its time. And I very much agree with that sentiment. I told her that I could see this anime being one that you could refer to people to get into anime, but then she made a very good point of, but why wouldn't you recommend, like, literally anything else Clamp has made? Or Gundam Build Fighters, or something else. And that's where my rating went from a check it to a skip it. Because everything that this anime does that you could try and sell somebody on has been done better and elsewhere. And there are other better Clamp works that I could show people. So it's like, who do I recommend Angelic Layer to? And honestly, the answer is really nobody. Unless you are a hyper Clamp fan and you're going to watch all of Clamp's works anyway, and in that case, you don't give a shit what I think. You're going to watch it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So to those of you that are a bit on the fence, I'd say, give it a skip. Just watch something else. You'll be better for it. But if it seems like it's up your alley, it's just a huge time investment for something that doesn't have a whole lot of payoff.
Okay. I will definitely go ahead and mirror that, but I do think it's really interesting that my context was slightly different, but pretty much for the same reasons. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a skip it as well, but my primary thought process here the whole time was especially learning that the original content is a 5-volume manga. I just feel like I'd rather recommend people read the manga over the anime for the purpose that I think that this is just way too long for what is conveyed in the original source material, and whatever the anime padded off, like even still, it just feels way too long. I think that the art is going to be more stylized and noticeably Clamp, so if that's something you really look for, you're going to get your fair share of that in the original context. And from what I read about just some of the story elements, I feel like a lot of my personal narrative hangups are different in the manga. I heard that the pairings don't end up the same in the manga, which also makes me happy. And even like a lot of the mom's character, I guess, is very different in the manga. So I walked out of the show being like, oh, I wish I read the manga instead. So that's why I'd say skip it if you want to check it out, read the manga. I think, like Cassie said, exactly. It's just a long time investment, and really, to me, isn't worth all of that in this day and age. I can totally see people, though, having like watched this as a kid and really liked it. I could have seen myself watching it as a kid and really liked it. But now, yeah, just skip it. Or check out this recommended show, really straight and to the point. Watch Gundam Build Fighters. It's basically the same concept, but really fun and shiny. So go watch that. Check it out. All right, John. What about you?
It has had been a long time since I last watched the series, so definitely some nostalgia goggles on me here. But actually rewatching it, I am, and with a more mature lens and actually looking at it a bit more critically, it is definitely a product of its time. And I'm finding it hard to recommend now that I've actually rewatched it and realized, okay, maybe there really is a reason why this is kind of an overshadowed part of Clamp's repertoire. All I can really do is echo what Kemi and Cassie have already said, and probably suggest you read the manga more instead of actually watching the series.
Okay. Wow, y'all, we were unanimous on both shows.
Unanimous check it, unanimous skip it. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was easy.
That was easy. It's a rarity that we all do unanimous, so that's actually pretty cool. And with that said, before we say goodbye to you today, let me just drop some social links for you. If you want to get in touch with us on Twitter, see our favorite characters as our icons change with every recording, you can check us out at twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. You can send us email at anniechatmail@gmail.com. Have you read the Angelic Layer manga? Do you like it? Is the show one of your favorites? Hey, let us know right over there. And if you want a variety of places to listen to us, check us out on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you are feeling generous as of late, coming into the new year or something, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. We're working on some cool rewards for all of you guys. And of course, major love and shout outs to our patrons, Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, Paul, and TroubleClef. We love you so much and you keep the lights on. We were able to renew our SoundCloud subscription thanks to you. We really appreciate everything you do. And if you missed Craig this episode, or just looking for something new in the realm of games, movies, and general entertainment, check out Save Our Progress at soundcloud.com/SaveOurProgress.
Cammy was on one of those episodes recently, and you get to hear her talk for like hours. It's amazing.
Yeah, we talked about movies. It was fun stuff. It was fun stuff.
So if you're like
And-
me and you love listening to Cammy talk for several hours, go and listen to that podcast.
I need to listen to that episode.
Aw, y'all are sweet. I'm gonna listen to their anime one soon. I'm excited. And with that, I'll go ahead and send us out of here. The angel descends. We're gonna go eat and chill for the rest of the night. So this has been episode 138 of the Annie Chat Box. Thanks so much for listening.
Have a good one, Oyasumi.
Bye-bye.